Greg?
Being recorded.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this Sixth-Town Regional Planning Board remote meeting being held this Tuesday, July 21st, and calling the meeting to order at 6:33. We have a quorum, so I'm going to go through the names for who is present, starting with Michelle Giroso. Michelle?
Yes, present.
And Alan Genevieve's present, and Greg?
Yes.
And Bill?
Yes, present.
Dorinda?
Here.
Jane?
Here.
Deb Loomer?
Here.
And Patricia?
Here.
And we also have Mike Jackson present, and we have Aaron Lee Hoffman present.
There is something I just ran off. Can you go get it for me?
And Pat, you're still on speaker.
Oh.
But I can get it for you if you want. You want a tea or coffee? Or All right. So this meeting is being recorded. It's in accordance with House Bill number 62 of the 194th General Courts. All votes will be taken by roll call. If we have any technical difficulties, we will try to resolve them. If we're unable to do that, we will have to postpone the meeting, reschedule it, and continue our business. So I'm going to move through this fairly quickly. First order of business is approval of the minutes. We have the the June 23rd minutes, which you should have received as part of the attached to the agenda.
I'll make a motion to adopt or accept.
All right. So that was Greg made the motion. Michelle seconded. Is there any discussion on these? Okay, hearing none, we'll start with Michelle. Roll call vote for approval. Michelle?
Yes.
Genevieve says yes. Greg?
Yes.
Bill Toom? Or Bill Williams, rather. Bill Toom.
That's fine. Yes.
Yeah. And Dorinda?
Yes.
Jane? Okay, thank you. Jane?
Yes.
Deb Loomer?
Abstain. I wasn't at the meeting.
Okay. And then Pat? Still on mute.
I can't get my act together. Yeah, yes.
Steve
Okay.
Richter is.
And
Steve
Steve,
yeah.
Richter has joined us. We're approving the minutes. Steve, you want to vote to approve?
Sure. Let's approve.
Okay. And Deb Loomer, just so you know, you don't have to be present to vote for the meeting. You can abstain, but if you vote affirmative, you had an opportunity to review them and to make comment. So you still could vote if you had chosen to. Okay.
Okay.
And so the next order of business is the just some reviews. The first one was we sent out a letter to the select boards to bring them up to date on a number of things. So you, I assume, have had a chance to review that. We hope that it covered the topics that you would have brought to their attention. Just some highlights, because we have some people joining that are not familiar with what was shared. First thing was just to let you know that the grant has come to an end on June 30th. We're wrapping that up with a financial report and then our qualitative report, and that will be sent off to DOR. And so that is in process. The regional agreements have been reviewed and moved forward. And so they are on the website. And in a little bit, we're going to talk about where we're trying to make them available for our town residents to be able to look at. We did have our meeting with the commissioner, and as noted before, it went very well. They were very receptive to our work, and they immediately honed right in on the flyer that we put together, and Dorinda and Mary and Lindsay did an amazing job pulling all the comments that we had into that document. And they immediately looked at that and went, boy, this is it. More students, more opportunities. And they began to talk about how that's really what this is about. And we did have an opportunity to talk about, in addition to that, if there is more funding, because we're certainly supporting, rural aid and additional funding, and whatever can happen at the Chapter 70 formula, that the value of that in a larger district will certainly have more influence on moving things along. I also see that Deb Petit has joined us, so thank you, Deb. So she has on board with the meeting. The ballot question, we did receive an update from Senator Comerford the other day. We had a meeting with her and some of the other her assistants, and she informed us that it has made it through the Senate. It came out with an affirmative action, and now it is in the House. So once it makes it through the House, I think there's a joint committee or something that just recommends it, and then it moves to the governor for signature. So we're on our way to potentially having a ballot question, so all the voters in the towns will be able to weigh in on this really important decision. Greg, anything to add on that before I move on? Oh, you know what?
Yeah, the only thing I would add is that also what was passed
Yeah.
was the supplemental provisions, which is 17.5 million for regionalization. So that's actually really big news. It's sort of a nod from the state that regionalization is going to be a part of the future of the state plans, because we have a lot of small districts, and well, we the rest. So as far as economies of scale and enrollment, so they're very much aware.
That was really really nice, because that certainly would help us in terms of funding and the implementation. So this couldn't have happened at a better time, and it was also really encouraging to hear the commissioner, as our meeting was getting ready to adjourn. He pointed out that if this was, he was very interested in everything we were doing, and he pointed out as we were concluding, he said, "Listen, just want you to know that if this is approved in the towns, we would like to form a partnership with the new district, so that in its implementation. So that's very helpful. I think we'll have strong support from the commissioner if this is moving forward.
We need to be sure that's included in our discussions with voters.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, he was also very specific about, especially at the secondary level, to help promote and support new programs and like innovative pathways for the new district. And so yeah, he was very positive in that respect.
Can I ask a question about that? Did you tell him that, or ask him if you could use his language or quote him, or because I know that we're going to spend a lot of time explaining to people if we have which I think we do, a school committee which does not support this. And I spent so much time talking to people about it's up to the voters. But if we have someone like the state commissioner who does support this as part of long-term addressing, this issue that affects a lot of communities beyond ours, but I just think being able to get his okay.
Oh, you accidentally muted. You muted yourself, Deb.
You
Sorry.
muted yourself.
I'm sorry. We need to put what he has said in some sort of it definitely in publications. I can't remember if Deb said that or somebody else said that, or maybe Jane said that.
Yeah.
It needs to be very clearly he said this, not just we have the support, because that's pretty vague.
Yeah, so let me I got to backtrack just a little bit in terms of the conversation with the commissioner. Very positive about what we're doing, how it's going to benefit kids, the opportunities that will come back. And so wasn't the deputy commissioner, and even the chief of finance, Bill Bell, very supportive of what we're doing. This is a political realm that everyone want to get right in the middle of it. And so I kind of asked that question, Deb, as things were wrapping up, is saying, well, what can we say? Because it sounds like, you're really supporting. We understand that, you have to be careful on your end. And so, we'd like to hear your thoughts. And that's when it was shared, you're on the right track. This is really good for kids. It certainly would benefit, so forth. And he said, what you can say is what I just repeated almost verbatim. Um, we would like to form a partnership with you if the district is created for its implementation. So what they were basically signaling was the closest they could get without taking a political stance to say we're on board with what you're doing. If the communities want this, we're gonna be there for you. So I thought he worded it very well and cautiously, because that's what we need to do.
So then you can say something like the state DESI is committed to supporting the work moving forward. I mean, that's a very clear
Yeah.
statement. So I guess whatever language we use needs to be as strong, but as as nuanced as possible.
Right. I would word it, just off the top of my head right now, I would word it something like this, that after reviewing everything with the commissioner, that he made it clear that if the towns vote to support this, they want to form a partnership with us and help to, move this forward. So I would say, Greg, I don't think I'm extrapolating too much, am I, on that?
No, I think, again, it's just they want to be careful because this is a local decision. They don't want to weigh in on telling people how to vote, just like we're not really weighing in on telling. We recommend, we see the benefits, we can, put those benefits forward. And he was just saying, look, I'm not, we can't take a position because we're not a political body, but what we can say is that, he's not saying that they're not going to support the districts if they vote no. It's just he's saying if they vote yes, we would support you and we would want to help the new district in terms of especially supporting the new secondary sort of formation. And he was actually very positive about leaving the elementary schools alone. He thought, too often elementary schools are where they cut because they can't necessarily cut elsewhere. So yeah, I mean, I think that's, we don't want to say that he supports regionalization in this effort because he's saying, look, if the people support it, then we will support you. And I think that's the way to frame it.
Yeah. So we walked away feeling very, very positive. We had a whole hour and then some. I also talked to one of the lawyers that was working on the agreement with us through the DESI, and she said to me today, I want you to know that if the towns approve this, our recommendation is going to be for the commissioner to approve the regional agreement. So, as a follow-up, I think DESI and DESI officials are all on board to helping us out in its implementation. And the fact that there's money now there available, that is like a bonus that we weren't sure was going to happen. So things are lining up a little bit. We just need to have the towns to understand the once in a lifetime kind of thing, as I'm thinking that we will be the nucleus of a new district if it's passed.
Yeah, I mean, my one, I'll just chime in one other thing is that, with that 17.5 million, that's a supplemental provision. So there's no guarantee that there'll be more money coming after that. I think this is kind of an opportunity for Western Mass, at least these districts that are involved, to get ahead of the curve because I do think what the state is facing in terms of declines in enrollment. And I even mentioned this to Comerford on Friday, which is if all the districts are in decline, which is going in that direction where almost all regional districts are going to be in hold harmless, we're not going to be that unique anymore. And my concern is the bigger populated areas are once again going to have the loudest voices, and that's how democracy works. and we will have missed the boat in terms of getting our voice heard. But we're on the forefront. We could, in this case, we could be ahead of the curve and get more support if we can, sort of frame it that way. Because I truly believe that.
Yeah. So there is a TV on the background and someone is not muted. So just bring that to your attention if that would be. We also, when we had a meeting recently with the senator, we had talked about we were trying to schedule a meeting with the town clerks. And we thought if we could get them all together and talk about, what works for the various towns, what would they like to see? What are some of the issues that they think would need to be addressed? And so it was something that we feel is pretty important. She agreed and actually wanted to be part of the remote meeting or the in-person meeting. She said that, a lot of things are going on, and I would really like to be a part of that meeting with the town clerk. So we're trying to set that up. Greg sent something out today. Again, something went out yesterday or the day before. So we're trying to coordinate a meeting maybe next Monday or Tuesday. It has to be sooner than later because what the senator was looking for is a window. Well, when's the earliest and when is the latest? What's the window that this needs to happen so that they can have a time frame for it moving along, in the House and whatever the other legislative steps are. I put a call in today to Rachel Klein to have a conversation about the legislative process so I can understand that better and how this would be moving forward. So I think that's it on the town clerk. Hopefully we'll have a meeting there. One of the bigger items for this meeting is the dissemination of the materials. Lindsay went and picked them all up. I have them here. Warwick has them disseminated in various locations. And I wanted to share how I went about it in Warwick so that you could perhaps replicate that for consistency in the other towns. So you should have received, if you didn't receive it before, I had a call into Greg and say, did this actually get out as part of the agenda? I sent something out probably about 20 minutes ago, but Greg, can you share that so we can go through it and they can do their edits and we can talk about if this is the right approach for the other towns? And so while you're searching for that, there's a cover letter that was developed that informs the residents of your respective town of what's going on for the vote, the process. And then I went and talked to the tax collector who said, yeah, oh yeah, you can use my name and my office hours if people want to come in the office and sit down and, review it. We'll also have the postcards and the flyer. And I talked to of course, the town clerk. He has the same information, and then it's posted on the board. The issue was if we put one copy out in the town hall, it would probably disappear. Someone would probably take it home. So although there's one there's a couple fixed in these offices that say, please don't remove. And then there's one in the library. And so this cover letter tells people where they can find this document in those locations, as well as our website, so that there's multiple opportunities for people to review it. So did you get this as part of the packet, or was this just something that you received this evening? Does this look familiar?
No, I don't think this was.
No, it doesn't look familiar.
Okay. So it didn't get attached. So can you make it a little bigger so people can sort of read it first and get the gist of?
Bigger.
I have a question in the second paragraph.
Okay.
I thought we had all decided it would be a special election. Is Warwick having a special town meeting?
No. we don't have the official word yet on whether
Right.
it's going to be a town meeting or a special election. So Warwick is going to have exactly what we have. It's going to either be a special election or it's going to be a special town meeting.
Well, why don't we put the election first?
Yes,
Okay,
I would do that
that's good.
because
What was it, a dual election?
I thought and Jane, you were, chair of all those meetings. I thought the 3 town select boards, finance committees wanted the special election.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah,
But
I
we
just
don't get
changed
to
it.
have a special election unless the state is able to get this through the House now and then on to the governor and the governor signs it. So right now, both are in play. It's looking better for a special election.
Okay, because the issue for a special town meeting for Leiden, you only need 25 people to show up.
Right.
And that, that's a quorum. So, and we tend to not get a lot of people to show up if we have a separate special town meeting throughout the year.
Right.
Well, and in Bernardston, we don't even have a quorum.
And
So, the selectmen and the finance committees show up for a special town meeting and you vote, and it's done. But I don't think that has anything to do with this question.
Right. The purpose of this is informative that right now both of those are in play. And so we have to tell voters it's one or two venues that is going to happen. So if the state, and then it goes on.
yeah, let's just keep going. Yeah,
So going on to the paragraph 3 and 4.
I guess I just wanted to confirm because Montague had said it was easiest to vote in November, that even if it's at the regular election, it's still a special election. Is that right?
Yeah, but so once we find out what it is, and if it is going to be a special election, then hopefully we'll do some pre-planning and work with the town clerks to find out how that would work. Would it be individual? Would it be a dual election? Which I think people are leaning toward for efficiency and greater turnout. So we're not really debating that as part of what this document is right now.
If it's at the same time as the biannual election, I think we're going to miss the deadline for getting on that ballot. So it would be a totally separate ballot. I'm not sure how the towns handle that, but it would be like having 2 votes on the same day at the same place.
Correct. Yeah, we can't put it on the state ballot anyways.
Yeah, it can't be on the state ballot.
Can't be on the state.
I was just asking because we're editing if the word special is right, even if it happens on a regular election day.
That's
all I was asking.
Yeah, it would still be a special town election.
Okay.
Yep.
Thanks.
Yep.
And then so paragraph 3 is Jane's statement, really. Paragraph 4. Is that 4? I don't know. I can't see. Can you scroll up a little more or down?
Should we keep using the word special? Should we just say an election would provide?
Well, it is a
I know it's special, but so is a town meeting.
Yeah, I hear you, Jane.
Well,
I think
I don't want to confuse it. I think we have to use special. Just
Really?
because it is a special election, and it if we start saying an election, they may those that know the difference might get start asking questions that are kind of needless. So I think we should just keep it as a special because that's what it is.
I'm just concerned that, when you read things, you read just so many words and then you know what the next 3 or 4 or 6 or 10 are going to be.
Yeah.
So I'm just concerned that when people see the word special, They're not going to read the word election. They're going to assume meeting because we all talk about special meetings all the time. We rarely talk about special elections.
Well, I originally had in here a special election ballot vote, but then thought I was being redundant.
Yeah, I think that's.
Yeah.
Well,
I like special election just because you're going to be consistent throughout the whole document. And so if all of a sudden you come up with a word election and it hasn't been used in
Right.
any other context,
yeah.
so for me, it's just the consistency of, you're right. You get sick of reading all the words, Jane, and that's certainly true. But I think if you change it all of a sudden, I think it could confuse some people.
Okay, then I'd like to change the word a to the.
Okay.
The special election would provide.
Okay.
How do you like that?
Yeah.
Good.
Perfect.
So then we have where these documents can be found. And this is being submitted by us.
I gotta leave for a second.
Yeah.
Something's going on.
Okay. And then we have the, can you scroll some more so we can see all the locations? So in our town, the select board office is locked. People aren't there. It's part-time. So we have it on a table. We have these documents on a table. But because someone might, even though it says leave this, don't remove it from town hall, if it happened, that wouldn't be good. So that is why the tax collector said, yeah, I'll do that. And the town clerk. So Warwick has their names and their hours. And then the library. And then is there someplace else in your town that you think you should have it? Like the
Senior
senior center.
center.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Can you change that? Does everyone have a senior center?
Northfield and Bernardston both have senior centers.
All right. So the point of this is you tailor this. You meaning the people here would take their town. Somebody will volunteer and put in the information. And then this would be sent to the town administrator or coordinator, and then they could make copies and then put it on the two regional agreements as a cover, and the board in town hall and in the select board's office if it's they have regular hours. I don't know, Michelle. Oh, she's not here now. So you can put in parentheses, Greg, just so we have it there. Oh, you have senior centers and other suggestions.
I'm here, Alan. I heard a beeping. It must have been someone else's beeping, like a truck was backing up. Wasn't here.
Where would you have it well, you're there every day of the week too. So you would probably have it just in your office or somewhere, right? Michelle?
Yeah. I put it in the library too.
All right. So along with this, there'll be a stack of cards. There'll be the flyers, and I will go en route tomorrow and the next day and deliver these all to someone so that you can bring them to these various places, and then you'll have extras to be able to bring to businesses or stores or wherever you think people might pick up these postcards or flyers.
Okay, so the actual documents for each of these locations are going to be printed in the selectman's office, or are we supplying them?
No, I would think that we would be asking the town administrators and coordinators to make these copies. They're not a lot, but there are, you're doing two regional agreements for each location, and in the long range plan. And so those would be what would be these locations. And then I'll give you stacks of the other materials to drop off. So they'll be on a table where these are located.
Mhm.
So that was the plan. When we talked about before, I was just trying to put some structure around it so we were consistent in where these documents are. I believe the clerk has to have this on file anyways in the town.
So Alan, are you saying that it can't be put in any other place? So when you say other suggestions, you're asking us. So for instance, I would say there's a lot of Gill people who go to Up in Gill, and it's a store. So if that's not consistent throughout all 6 towns, then we can't put it at Up in Gill?
No,
So I
no.
misspoke. So what I was saying is that these documents, the regional agreements and the long range plan will be in these locations. The the flyers and the postcards will be in the stores and the other locations. And even maybe one of these cover letters, just so that on a bulletin board or something, so people can also see it there.
But
See,
let me chime in. Deb, your question was, can you put these documents elsewhere? Absolutely. They're public documents. You can put them anywhere. We're just saying we're trying to create consistency to have them in these sort of specific places. But yeah, you want to put them at the Up and Gill, I think that's great. Yeah.
Okay.
well, who's going to run them all off?
Well, that's another question. For the towns, yeah, they might just do this, but if a town hall wants to print up an extra set of copies, that's their choice. They can do that and put it at the, Up in Gill or somewhere else in Bernardston. If they want to put it somewhere else that seems like it's appropriate, then by
Yep.
all means, we're not limiting it to this.
Right. So maybe
So-
that's a conversation with your town administrator. Like, would they be willing to run off a few extra copies or something if you think of other places you think they should be?
And they'll be on our website. So there's,
Right.
yep.
Well, the 2 agreements are 51 pages.
Right.
I don't know how many pages is in the
Long range plan is
30.
long range plan. I'm sure it's a lot more than that.
It's 30.
30 pages in that.
Yeah. I mean,
So we're talking about 80 pages, print 2-sided, so 40 pages.
40 pages. Not a
But
lot.
it's still 80 copies going through your copy machine.
yes.
Times what we've got 5, let's say 6 gets filled in there. That's 600 copies
The
Yeah.
ream of paper.
Gotcha.
that we're asking the towns to print. Of course, they don't have to do it. But that is what we're asking them. I just feel like it's a big ask. And I've said this before that I thought we should use some of our funds to do this printing.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's over.
Well,
Yeah, I know.
we didn't have the funds to do this volume either.
It's a ream of paper.
It's a ream of paper. I don't think it's too much to ask. I mean, because I print stuff all the time for.
It's the ink that costs a lot, but yeah, we can add.
Yeah, I mean, it's important. This is really important stuff. We print out stuff all the time for far less important things, and lots of pages at town halls. So, I don't think this is as big of an ask, though, Jane.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I just think it's important for someone, that lives in the town and has been involved in this to have that conversation with the town administrator and see what suggestions they may have and where else they think it should be. So are people comfortable then with using this document and editing it accordingly? And then you'd make enough copies of this to go on every document you're putting. I would also add right on it, I wrote on it, please do not remove from town hall or remove from library. So I just hand wrote that. You could put it right across the top in big letters so people know they're at the
Punch a
library.
big hole in the corner and thread a cord through it or a chain.
Yeah, you can
Yeah.
do that.
That's a thought.
Yeah, there's lots of ways they can, secure
So
some.
have that conversation.
Yeah.
So we ready to move on?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. So thank you.
I was going to say, you can ask your librarian to just have it available for people to look at.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah, that's
They can just look at it there, borrow it for whatever time they're there, and then return it. That's definitely something our librarian would do.
yeah.
Right.
Yep.
I think ours would too. I think.
Yep.
Well, our librarian just left, so.
That's the spirit behind this, to have it available. They can sit down, review it, take their time. And then if they're intrigued or say, I want to know more, have more time, they go to our website. They take one of the postcards, they take one of the flyers.
Okay, let me unshare this.
All right.
Well, and things like the tax collector and the town clerk, if their hours coincide, then you don't need it in both offices.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
No.
And small town halls might just have one out
Yeah.
front. That's all you
Yeah.
need.
Yeah.
That's all I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
That's why it was just tailored as a template, and you have to make it fit your circumstances.
Right.
Now, here's the big question. So I have a date with Pat on Thursday to get her the materials, and she offered to disseminate them and talk to folks. Greg, you've already done that, or you are doing that? I gave you the materials. Do you?
I have some materials for Gil. I haven't had a chance to get to the town hall yet. I was going to do that soon though.
All right. So Greg is on that. Who am I missing? So
Montague.
Warwick was done. Montague.
Biden.
I
You
keep.
were gonna come and see me.
Oh yeah, and Michelle, right? I'm meeting. I think I'm coming up tomorrow afternoon,
All right.
morning. So Michelle, I got you. Bring you the materials. So we have Montague.
Yep, that's
Oh,
me.
Jane. Jane. I guess you're it, Jane.
Looks
I-
that way, doesn't it?
I can bring the materials to town hall for you, and bring all that there, and you could pick them up there
Um,
or I can meet you there and we can chat, and I can give them you. We can talk.
I have company on all this week.
Yeah.
They'll be going home on Friday morning. And then I have a 1:00 meeting at town hall on Friday. So 3:00 on Friday or next Saturday or next Monday.
Oh boy, we're trying to have a meeting with the center and the select board. So, can it be a little later than 3 on, no, it would, Friday's not going to work.
Friday.
I can come to your house and drop them off too. I don't,
Those are still the time slots because I don't know. I'm busy all week.
right. Do you have to be home for me to drop them off?
All
Why don't you and I talk? We'll talk later and figure it out.
right.
Okay.
Or you can drop off Jane's with me and I can get it to her maybe.
Okay.
If instead of you
Well,
coming all the way
yeah.
from Warwick. Well, we can figure it out if you want to.
Ellen and I will talk and then Mish will let you know.
Yeah.
Mish.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So we've got Berniston, we have Gill, we have Leiden, we have Northfield, we have Warwick. We do not have Montague. Is there?
Could be. I don't know. Yeah. That's fine. We'll figure something out. You send me a message.
Okay, I'll give you a call.
Okay.
I'll get them to you. So that was the
I have a
gist.
porch.
Yeah, yep, that can work, and I won't have to run these off. I was going to offer to doctor them up, but it sounds like it's really important. Make it work for your town. All right, next item. Website. We still owe you some financial information for that page and more information for Q&A. We did have questions at Warwick, so we'll start adding those in. I've been, well, I'll get you stuff. You want to give us the final review in terms of where we are in the website now?
Like you said, I'm waiting on the econometric model for the financial summary, but the other summaries are up. I took everything out of the FAQ that was not accurate at this point.
Okay,
And
good.
then, we can put back a new FAQ whenever.
Okay, good.
And then I was just thinking about like, when do I want to start posting things on Facebook now that the website's pretty together? Should I start pushing people to it again? I think that makes sense.
Yes. Yes.
All right.
Um,
How about,
yes.
what's it called? Next door? Is that the name of that?
Yep.
Yeah, I think Lindsay was going to start, whenever we sort of decided that it was time to start doing that, Lindsay was going to do Nextdoor and I would do Facebook.
Yeah, but next door to push them to look at the website, right?
Yep.
I didn't realize that you had, I'm just making a note of that. So Dorinda's doing Facebook and Lindsay is doing Nextdoor. All right, so a couple of things. Is the planning board interested in having an all-town meeting with select boards again, like we did two previous ones? And it's an opportunity to really put out the merits, the answer questions, review anything in the regional agreement. So we threw that out there. Do you think that would be a good thing to have like first thing in September, when people are back?
You mean just invite each select board member from each town to attend a meeting to discuss this?
Yeah, or I think when we did it before, we put it out to select boards, FinComs, and it was just opened up, right? And people just came to the senior center and was one of them in Berniston, and the other one was in Gill. So it's just throwing that out there in terms of that's a great way to invite the press and to put our final touches on why this is a really good idea for the towns to consider. So
Yeah, I think it's a good idea.
So this isn't a public forum. This is just us meeting with the select boards.
no, that's open. As soon as select boards come, it's a public meeting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
So are they coming to our meeting or are we going to their meeting?
It'd be an in-person meeting.
Right. But are we physically showing up at the select board's meeting then?
No,
Well, we
I
host
think
it.
we would hold basically
Oh.
open it up to the select boards,
Yeah.
and it could be hosted in Gill again, like we did the last one. And
Okay.
they basically come, and if they have a quorum, they may want to call their meetings to order, and yeah, it
Right.
allows everybody to be in the room, ask questions.
Yeah, I'm thinking this is kind of our final wrap up, report of where we are in this process, and highlight not only the educational benefits but the financial benefits. And I also think it's an opportunity to have people understand the model that Greg has put together that talks about what happens to districts and that get too small. And just there's a lot of people that will probably be hearing for the first time, maybe, that how much the population has shrunk in Western Mass and in the schools and what the challenges are. Because, at one of the town meetings, they said, we really we need to start paying attention to what's going on with the sixth town and looking at, is that the right thing to be doing? So,
Yeah, it's not that the populations has declined. It's just that it's gotten much older and the birth rates have not caught up. So
Right.
it's a little deceiving because population hasn't really officially declined in Franklin County, but we have lost, 4,000 students that are just gone due to lack of birth rates.
Right. I should have
Yeah.
said student population.
Yeah.
I just
Sorry.
assume when I talk to this group, we know that.
Just want to clarify that because we have reporters in the room and it's
Oh.
not, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you could also just point to, for those in Warwick, Leiden, and Northfield, Brattleboro just closed their maternity ward for lack of babies being born.
Yeah. Well, and there was a Washington Post article which I sent to, I think it was you, Michelle, this morning about that they're predicting across the United States thousands of schools closing just
Yeah.
due to declines in enrollment, that there's just not enough students.
Right.
And it's not just impacting our local schools. Look at all the colleges around that are in trouble.
Absolutely. Colleges for sure.
Yeah.
It's just a snowball rolling down the hill.
Well, if you think about it, you have all this infrastructure that was built back in the 50s and 60s with growing enrollment. And now it's been in decline for 30 years. And especially with the immigrant population declining, and that we're not going to see that growth that was kind of propping up the enrollment for the last 25 years. And now the outlook for being able to fill all those buildings is just it's not going to be there.
Yep.
All right. In a previous meeting, oh, wait a minute, let me finish this. There was also a thought, I don't know if Michelle, somebody came up with the idea, and I thought it was a good one, of having a panel discussion. And so I'm still toying with the idea of having the planning board invite school committee reps and so forth, and they can present their point of view, and we would present ours, and people could ask questions and have it done by a neutral person. So please let that marinate, and if it speaks to you, we need someone to could explore that and see if that's a possibility. I think we would want to participate, right? We would want to be part of a panel discussion.
Would you do it with like BNC TV?
Sure.
Yeah,
Sure.
absolutely.
Because then it could be recorded that people could view it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And that brings us to, we've got to get.
But will they put a panel like that on?
I don't know.
It's hard. Yeah, it's hard.
We'd have to talk to Tyler.
Yeah.
Because
the invitation was still open that if we have a meeting and we record it, they were willing to put it up there.
right, they would put this meeting on if you send them a recording.
Yeah. And if we do a presentation and send it to them, I think they said that they could possibly air it.
Put it in the schedule.
Yeah. So all right, so more on that then. We'll let that marinate for a bit. And then so we'll try to do recordings. So newspaper articles, you should have had in a previous mailing from Mary, I think, unless I was remiss, 7 or 8 articles that she kind of crafted based on our conversations and our research. And did you get those previously?
Something came a while ago, not recently.
No, not recently. Probably, well, a month ago at least. Within a month. Because Mary just left us on June 3rd.
I don't think within a month. No.
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
All right. So
We got those sort of pre-made letters to the editor to modify, yes.
Yeah, when did that happen?
I don't know. I can look.
Yeah. At any rate, please look at that again. I'm going to call it. It's really important that you take a look at those, piggyback on them. Somebody do an edit, add your own experience and thoughts, and we need to start putting things out now. We're in July, and the big push needs to start getting things into the paper and getting things into the public sector. So I'll follow up with a phone call, but look at them so that, and then feel free to write your own. Pat, I was thinking of you in terms of the experience you have as a kid
Yeah,
and
I read that.
things shared, and that would be wonderful. It doesn't have to be long, but just to remind people the benefit when you think about it. This district, even when Warwick joined, for 35 years with Warwick, but prior to that, I mean, these communities coming together and forming regional a district has really worked well for many, many, many years. And now it's very small. And so putting it in the perspective of it's time to do it again because it had so many benefits for kids. And you could use some of the knowledge you have about the different arguments that were made then that were that are being made now, but look at the good that came out of it over the time. So think about that, okay?
Okay.
And Deb, you've written a couple really great ones. So if you have others in your head, that would be really good. And I like your point about, bringing it from the I perspective.
Yeah, I think I put one on Rivertown a little while ago. I didn't get much negative stuff at all, except, not much negative stuff. So I think I would write about it as someone who's in a school that's also shrinking and what I see. So yeah, I'll probably just rehash that one if that will work for people.
Absolutely.
And I will also talk about the social aspect of that from in my role as a school adjustment counselor.
Yeah. One of the things that would be a good article is to talk how we happen to be in a good position where things are lining up in terms of we were ahead of the curve by starting this conversation 7 years ago and trying to do all this research, so and we're at a time where there's money actually available to fund it that and sort of write an article that's lining up the moon, the stars, the sun, everything this is you want to be doing it when it's at a good time. You don't want to have it when it's like imposed on you that you're too small and no one wants to do it. We still have an opportunity to do it where things haven't really trashed and burned.
Right. And I'll just add that I started a new sort of model analysis about how choice in impacts town assessments. Because there's a narrative out by superintendents that not all, but a lot of them that say that, they look at it at a marginal revenue, marginal cost basis, meaning that if you have capacity in your building to take another student, then the marginal revenue is going to of $5,000 that you get for the student is going to be larger than the marginal cost, meaning that you have the room, so you're not hiring another teacher, you're not hiring staff or anything like that. So it's just minimal costs of like books and food, lunches or whatever. But the problem with that is that that's not actually true once you get to a certain level and certainly not true if you're backfilling your membership town enrollment is declining and you're backfilling it with choice in. Because what's happening is if you're not scaling back on your overall operations, meaning you're not scaling back your cost structure with your loss of member town students, you have an artificial sort of perception that it's not costing the towns anymore. But the problem is with that is that, if you start from a baseline of, let's say, now, and let's say you have a district like, let's say Frontier, which actually has a lot of choice in, is that, if you have 160 choice in students, and you take a baseline, you say, well, taking, let's say, a employee to student ratio, you wouldn't have this many teachers and staff now with that amount of student population from your towns. Therefore, your towns are subsidizing those choice in students because you have to consider the opportunity of the cuts that would have been made to right size the staff. And so it on the surface, it looks like you're not spending more because you haven't cut anyone and you haven't hired anyone. But in reality, you're backfilling and the member towns are subsidizing the choice in students. So you are paying a premium where the other towns that are choicing in are not. And yes, there's a benefit because you get more enrollment, and so you beef up your programs. But the downside to that is the other district, which is losing because all the districts are basically in decline. You're hurting them and driving up their per pupil expenditure because they're losing a student. So it's kind of a lose-lose once you get into that game and the problem is superintendents, I don't think have economic backgrounds. And so they see it on the surface as, well, it's just a marginal revenue, marginal cost lens. Well, no, it's not, because you're not taking in the opportunity to right size your district. I mean, you do have fixed costs, but you also have variable costs that you could reduce. And that's the issue, is that you're propping up positions and teachers with only $5,000 worth of revenue, and you're missing out on the full Chapter 70 aid in that case because you haven't brought them into the district. And that's a piece that's definitely missing in the narrative that's coming out of most superintendents, because they look at it as a marginal revenue, marginal cost. And that is a logical fallacy once you get to backfilling your membership town enrollment declines with choice in.
Yeah, I'm going to add two wrinkles to that. One of them is that because you're not reducing your structure, when you take in a school choice student, you own them to graduation. And so if your student population in the towns are dropping, but you've committed to educating these kids that you've taken in at $5,000 a kid, then you need to have your population, your staff population, to service the kids that you took in. So that's one thing that I think forget about, because they get put in a box. The second thing is that although special education through the circuit breaker and the funding does reimburse districts for the services that are required in special education, that's a percentage which changes from year to year. So that which is not reimbursed, again, is an expense to the in the operating budget,
and to the member towns.
It goes to member towns. So there are two other wrinkles to the work that Greg is doing. Is not going to conducive to having a sustainable and affordable school district.
Yeah. And it's regional, because once you analyze it regionally, you begin to get a clear view of what's happening, which is you do have these sort of lose-lose scenarios, and the way to think about it is take it to the extreme. Let's say your membership towns, enrollment declines to, let's say, 20 kids, and you're backfilling, all that past enrollment with choice in, and you've got, let's say, 500 kids, right? You're getting $5,000 a kid when you only have 20 kids in your member towns, and yet your member towns have to pay for those other, and there's no way at some point what that tipping point is hard to discover, because you do have a lot of 7 through 12 where you're sharing teachers and paras and staff, and so it's very hard to pinpoint exactly, but you can certainly find a range for what that subsidy is, and that's what I've been working on.
I think a much easier way to describe it is that if the average per pupil cost is 11, 15,000, whatever it is, it's going to take 3 times that number of choice in to make up that same amount. And then in terms of revenue, and then you get enough choice in kids, you're going to have to hire staff. And that's where in both cases, that's where your budget goes screwy.
Well, but you don't have to actually hire any staff, Bill. You just have to replace your member towns students that are declining with choice in. So you're getting full, you get full Chapter 70 aid for your member town students. You get only get 5,000 for that. You can't use an average cost because you're talking marginal cost and marginal revenue. So
I'm
you
not
have,
talking average costs. I'm talking about per pupil cost doesn't change whether it's a choice in or a
Right.
student from in town.
Right.
And
well, that's true. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. I
all I'm
misunderstood.
pointing out is that exactly what you're saying in a
Okay.
much
Sorry.
simpler way to understand it.
Yeah.
They don't make up for the per pupil cost.
Right.
Right.
Well, and here's the thing, and the thing is that 5,000 was never supposed to make up for it. The only reason that we're having this conversation is because it was really supposed to be a marginal revenue, marginal cost. That's all it was. And the idea was that if you had a little excess capacity in your building, it is a marginal revenue gain. The problem is once you start backfilling declines in member town enrollment, does it become an issue? Because that's the key. If you're growing and you've got capacity, it's a marginal revenue gain. But so it's not as simple as that because it has to be a decline in your member because your member towns are the ones that pick up the difference,
Right.
not those towns outside.
But Bill's right. I mean, it's really easy to understand it if you just break it down by a per pupil cost and couple that with you own those kids. Once you take them, you
Yeah.
can't. Now you are stuck with keeping staff that you maybe could have let go if your population declined because you've committed to taking those kids. All right, so we should probably
And
move.
I think it's a fallacy to say you don't have to hire teachers because you take in $5,000 students from wherever. Because you may take these students in fourth grade because you have 3 seats available in this class. Next year, when they're in 5th grade, oh my gosh, 2 families moved into town and they each have 2 kids in that class. Oh, too big. Now we got to hire a new teacher.
Yep. Yep.
And
Good point,
that's an
Renee.
oversimplification. It goes on right up to grade 12.
Yeah. If you take them in elementary school. Yep. I
Well, that's
agree.
where we're taking most of them in out
Yes,
here.
that's right.
Yep, that's why we own them.
I guess my question, just so we're clarifying for reporters, Bill, is that when you talk about a per pupil expenditure, that's an average cost.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, but that's where it gets back to what I'm saying is you can't use an average cost because adding a student, if you lose one student and you have an open seat, and let's say nothing else changes, and you get 5,000 for that, it's not going to cost a district the average cost per pupil, right? It's only going to cost them an extra, let's say $1,500. So it's a net gain of 3,500. You don't use the per pupil expenditure in that case because it's sort of like saying adding a house on a street. You don't add, sewers already there. So, the utilities already there. So you don't add in the average cost because that would be sort of town wide. It's an economic sort of, this gets confused all the time.
I don't disagree with you. Yeah. I am trying to make things simple enough so that all the people that are invited to these meetings can grasp the concept that you're trying to express in a very convoluted way.
Well, it's
convoluted. Not convoluted, that's the wrong word.
Yeah, it's complex. It's complex because you're declining enrollment, you're not scaling down and cutting your costs appropriately to the students, right? And so what happens is you have to look at it, you have to ask the question like, if the district was only member town students right now, whether you have extra capacity or not, how many teachers would you add to scale up to what the enrollment is when you add all those choice in students? And it would be like in the case of, let's say, Frontier, it could be upwards of 15 to 20 teachers. And so if you're getting 5,000 per student and you take in 1.2 million, but yet the salaries and all the benefits and all the added sort of costs of taking on those teachers is 2.4 million, you have a deficit that the towns are picking up. You can't ask, did you hire any more teachers? Because no, you're supporting teachers for a declining member town enrollment, right? And you wouldn't need those teachers per se for the current member town enrollment. So when you take them in, you are technically adding teachers, as Jane points out, because you're supporting teachers for enrollment that your towns don't have. And so you're only getting 5,000 to get of revenue towards that. And that's where things fall apart.
All right. So there's several ways of
I'd like to, can I add to this
yes.
Sure.
Yeah.
from another angle? We are not going to go out there and teach all of our residents economics,
Mhm.
nor are we going to teach them philosophy, nor are we going to teach them high mathematics. So we need to make this simple. And I also want to share a comment that was made to me by a school committee member who said, I've attended every session you've ever had, and you people always talk down to me. So I think we need to take all of what I've just said into consideration as we talk to people, because we're not going to educate them. We don't have time enough nor skills enough to do it. Thank you.
Well said. So I try to keep these meetings to an hour. It's a little over that. We have a meeting, I hope. I mean, August is here. As soon as we get word where we are, we're going to give you the following updates. When it comes out of the House and when it might be going to the governor's desk. When the when we meet with the town clerks to find out when will be the best time to have the towns receive notification from us, the planning board, that we're requesting a special election or town meeting. We hope special election, so that everyone is working on the same timeline. So we'll give you an update on that. I can do those things through a quick email, but we have on the docket two meetings. We may need both because September's right around the corner. And we'll be looking at a vote pretty soon. So I had down the 13th and the 18th. One's a Thursday, one's a Tuesday. Did you have a chance to look at those dates and look at your calendar and say, yep, we can do that? We're going to need a quorum.
Spell it out. Sorry, I won't be able to make the 13th. I will be on a sunset cruise.
I'd love to be with you.
We all come.
I feel I'm sunsetting. If those are okay with folks, we'll just run with those.
Yeah.
And we'll give you an update as we get more information. I think an important meeting when we have with the senator and the town clerks, that should help put it in perspective as to when we might be having to have this vote happen. So we'll keep you posted. Anyone have any other business?
I
Okay,
move to adjourn.
there's a motion to adjourn.
Okay.
I'll second it.
It's seconded. It's not debatable. So we'll do a roll call. Michelle,
Yes.
Alan, Genevieve says yes. Greg,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Jane,
Yes.
Deb,
Yep.
Steve,
Yep.
Deb Potee,
Yes.
and Patricia,
Yes.
Dorinda,
Yes.
and Mike and Aaron. If you have any questions or follow up, please get in touch with us. So we'd love to talk with you. I think you have our numbers. All right.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for your interest in being engaged in this process. All right. So we are officially adjourned.
Have a good night.
Bye.
Great.
Yeah,
Enjoy
Have
the
fun,
rest
Bob.
of
let's see what I